Greetings, travelers.
Greetings, travelers.
Hi, Bo. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Mark?
Good. How is the new year treating you?
It is still dark, still winter.
It's still winter. Yeah. We've made it. We're coming up on the next holidays, which is always fun. Erica is still on her round the world trip to places unknown, and may come back.
We're
We're hopeful that she's still alive. I got a hair carrier pigeon the other day of a picture with her with Neil deGrasse Tyson. So that means they could be on another planet
they
for all
could
I know.
be.
So Bo and I are holding the fort while Erica is on her round the world jaunts, much as you and Erica held the fort while I was on my health concerns. So we'll
I'm
just
always
keep rocking.
for
Yeah, we're just keep on rocking because that's what you travelers want. So no rest for the wicked.
No.
So now we did an episode recently on Trapper Nelson because Florida is looking at taking bits of some of their state parks and turning them into golf courses. And
Which is yucky.
which is not because Florida needs more golf courses. Oh my gosh.
You maybe like if they were gonna make housing for like unhoused people, then it would be something cool. But
I mean,
no,
but
more
again,
golf courses.
the animal wildlife areas in Florida are shrinking and shrinking and shrinking as is.
Yeah.
And one of the places I want to bring up was a place I wrote about in Eerie, Florida. One of my first books, one of the first places I wrote about was a place that I knew was going to not be there much longer. One of the reasons why I wanted to get that story out was because I knew the place was going to be developed. And it was, sadly, like within a few years of me publishing, it's gone now. But the story is still amazing. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about just the area it's in. And if you're going to journey with me, Bo,
I'm journeying.
everybody, when you think of spooky places in Florida, number one comes to mind. What top of your head?
St. Augustine.
St. Augustine, right? Everybody, St. Augustine. Oh, the city in America. Oh, it's European city in America. Blah, blah, blah. St. Augustine. I love St. Augustine. Don't get me wrong. I think it gets all the love. And I think, and maybe you say Casadega, which if you're a fan of this show, you've heard us talk about that. It's kind of a out of the way place, more psychics per capita than Salem, and more witches. It's very cool. But the one place that I think needs love and doesn't get nearly enough is Amelia Island. Now,
I've never heard of Amelia Island.
I'm gonna educate you. This is up right on the Georgia border, so that's why some people don't think of it when they think Florida because they're just going past it. It's not right off the interstate either. It's you might have heard of Fernandina Beach, which is the big beach on the island. So it's basically the northeasternmost point in Florida. And we're going to go back in the Wayback Machine here. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I have snacks. Let's go.
All right, good. So, all right. So first, the first inhabitants of this area, of course, are the Timacuans.
Mm-hmm.
And they called the island, I'm going to butcher that, Napokia or something like that. Who knows? I'm sure we don't even know how the Timacuans actually spoke anymore. So, but early European explorers come and they immediately go, we want this island. And they name it after Princess Amelia, the daughter of Prince George II of Britain, right? British explorers, we've got this. Now, the island has been fought over so much that basically 8 flags have flown over that island since then. Now, the big thing about it that nobody knows is that this was the bastion for pirates for a decade.
So it's like their home base.
This was their home base. There are a couple famous ghosts here that we'll get into in a little bit, but let me get into something else there first, okay? So what happens is there's this wetlands around it, and it's called the Eggins Creek Greenway, and it is just a trail that kind of snakes through the woods and the wetlands.
Mhm.
And there are warning signs about local wildlife, alligators,
Crocodiles, alligators.
alligators, and bobcats. It opened in 2000 for conservation and passive recreational use. And there are benches, there's grass and dirt pathways, and some of the most breathtaking views in all of Northeast Florida. It's amazing. It does have some thorny vines and a little poison ivy, and of course, the most dangerous resident of Florida, mosquitoes.
I thought
But
you were gonna say Mickey Mouse, and I was gonna say, yes.
you worry about cocaine bear, worry about the meth mosquitoes. But it's really a great place to bike, walk, and you can enjoy like several different ecosystems just a few miles, because there's basically a giant salt marsh where you can see, herons and egrets and other birds, great for birding. And there's even a platform there just to watching all the animals there. And then you can cross the creek, and there's some wooden bridges, and you'll find a more wooded area, right, with kind of a more freshwater ecosystem. And there you'll
Like,
find
not
horses.
so wet, like, more like
Right,
actual foresty.
right. You'll see raccoons and armadillos and tree frogs, and Carrie's favorite, the snakes. Right. So, and then even more birds, but more of the the foresty birds. And then you can go back out and go to the island. There's all the beaches there, Fernandina Beach and some other stuff like that. But there was this older path that kind
Mm,
of was off the back of it, and it's not listed on the Eggins Creek map. It wasn't even listed as part of the preserve. But there was a fire circle, there were trail markers, but they were falling into disrepair even in the early 2000s. The signs said it was a student nature preserve, and it was for education at the high school, which is right across the main drive there, Citrona Drive. But the school had no records of it either.
that's weird.
Yeah, right.
This
And
might be a stupid question, but was the high school, like, on the island?
yes, it's just
Okay, okay.
right across the road from this. And now this was basically a third ecosystem. And there was live oaks and willows,
Mm.
and just dripping with Spanish moss everywhere. It was very old Florida forest, and it's just darkest. I loved it. And the path's back entrance was this disused trail entrance, and it comes right out to Fernandina High School. But the high school says nope, doesn't exist. So
Do they just not wanna take ownership of it because then it's a liability thing?
maybe, I don't know, but when we would go there, you would see kids were still going to this place because it's a place to
Right.
hang out, and you'd find cigarette packs and other things and all that usual stuff.
Yeah.
But there is a legend here, okay, that predates the pirates of this island, predates all the fun stuff we talked about in the Wayback Machine, right? So again, this is going to say on the island in the mid 1600s. So no records of any colonies here, but they're saying there was an undocumented settlement here.
Mm.
Spanish and French fought over this area a lot, and so did the English, right? And they were all trying to found a mission or a ministry for the natives, right? We got to convert these
Oh, yeah. Of
red
course.
savages to our beliefs, right? So now it's weather-wise great. It's right on the main shipping lanes of the Atlantic coast. It's less than 75 miles from St. Augustine. So it's not without reason that we think there was probably some sort of colony here
Mhm.
that might have prospered. It's also deep water ports on all sides of this island. So it could have many boats docked here, which no place else in Florida could at that time. So, but the legend says that this colony had a problem. witches.
Oh, yeah. I
So
hate when you have a witch problem at your colony.
it's just that's the worst, right? So now these were very despicable witches because not only were they, just uppity women, they actually danced with demons
Oh,
and would,
if I was gonna be a witch, that would be the kind I would be.
yeah,
Like, if you're gonna be a witch, go hardcore.
the
Do we
one of the
know,
most.
like, what, like, the settlement who like, which country
We
founded this
think it
settlement?
was French. We think it
Mm,
was French. Now there
French
was
witches.
Fort Marion is a lost fort that the Spanish we know massacred everyone in it and killed everyone in it from St. Augustine. We don't know where it was 100%. We think it was on Amelia Island somewhere. So this might have been something to do with that, but this kind of predates it.
Mm.
So it's tricky. But anyway, the story goes that the women here ensorcelled the men to do their bidding, and so they controlled the colony, and that was why they didn't keep records, right? So supposedly shortly after
Are
their
they trying to
founding,
say that women are not good at bookkeeping?
I'm,
Because
th-
we
I'm saying
are.
demons aren't good at bookkeeping. So although they always have those deals and stuff that are always
Yeah,
signed here, so I
you have
think
to
they
be
can do
really
that.
good at bookkeeping.
Yeah,
I
so
think
this is a
this is
legend. This is a legend here, right? So now the town, under the influence of these ladies, tries to keep boats from coming in, but a lone ship of pilgrims arrive. So this would have been 1620s, and we know Plymouth Rock and all that. So this would have been around that time.
mm.
So but they were forced out by the ladies saying, nope, nope, you're not allowed here. And they were sent north. But one pilgrim stayed behind. He'd been separated from the other ones that went north, but he stayed behind on purpose. The main reason was he was a witch finder
Oh.
and had the skills. So he was going to help them free the town. So he forms a series of trials which predate Salem by about 50 years. And when all is said and done, according to the story, all of the coven was destroyed, but it boiled down to one little girl. And this little blonde girl was pinned as the leader of the coven. And she was in control of a pet demon. And this demon had a name. And the name was Wickedemus.
That is a cute demon pet name.
That
So
is, now he could command the wind and the rain. He could rend animals in two with merely a thought. But the worst, according to the stories, is he could turn men's hearts from God. So,
oh.
so the girl had to be dealt with, and the demon was going to have to be banished. So now there are a couple versions of this story, of course, as with all these legends. Now, either the girl was found guilty and hung by her neck from a particularly ancient oak tree, or another version is she fled into the woods with her demon and hid away. Now, either way the story goes, her demon and her are supposed to still be in those woods. And they're either buried or haunting that old trail.
So they're on the trail that the high school says they do not own.
That exists. Yeah, exactly. And now every person I talk to about this says this is the story they know, right? This is what
Mhm.
they've heard. And each one had a different version of it. Now, there's either a curse upon the woods from either the witch or the demon. And basically, it's told that if you walk down that trail and find this marker at the base of an old oak tree, and you say the magic name of the demon, Wickedemus, you will feel the power of the demon. And you'll either hear this booming sound or sudden gusts of wind, or you'll possibly even be immobilized by the spirit, right? Now, some say that the little girl appears and haunts you over and over again, right? And then other people say it just the demon face appears and it's so big you can't
Oh.
see the whole demon. You just see its head.
I was imagining the demon being really tiny.
No, it's humongous. So of course, everybody's got a legend trip this, right? You got to go out
Yeah.
there and see if you say the name 3 times, stuff like that. But the teachers used to try to warn kids from it because they're like, look, there's snakes over there. There's alligators. Don't go over there. Now there were several tests of bravery here. One is you spent the night at the grave, which is illegal because Egan's Creek Greenway closes at sunset. But since this wasn't part of Egan's Creek, I guess, technically, you
not illegal.
Yep. And there were cans there when we went, and even signs of a recent fire in an old fire pit we saw. And there was some vandalism and some tags on some of the stuff there from the old trail. But anyway, the second way to test the myth was to say the name 3 times like Bloody Mary at the marker. And then you'll feel that paralyzing, and shadowy creatures will dance about as they take pieces of you. But in exchange, you'll be granted the powers of the witch for a limited period. That was
if this was accurate, there'd be so many kids with witch powers.
Hey,
cavorting around that high school.
Yep. All right. Now the third test was if you go there and see how many times you could say it, so that he will gain enough strength and he'll break free of his imprisonment. And that he's been stuck there because of the witch finder, and the ground will shake and thunder will peal, and and he'll be, as he's trying to break free, right? And somebody's going to say it enough someday that he'll be loose, right? That's the goal. You're just trying to add up to that tally, kind of like an old telethon. If we can get enough money, we'll raise the thermometer. He's doing a Kickstarter.
So how many times did you say it, Mark?
We did it a couple times. We did it to 3. But there is another legend that says if you go there on 3 consecutive nights, you'll dream of the little witch girl, and she will haunt your dreams and help you for the rest. Now, if you go on a 4th night, you'll die.
Oh.
And she'll feed your soul to the demon. Now, I didn't see any upside to that one, so we didn't do the 4. We didn't do the 4. Now, you have to go down that disused trail, right? But can't do that anymore because the land was sold.
Oh.
And it is now a housing subdivision. It's been completely bulldozed.
So is the tree even there anymore?
No. The marker is gone. The tree is gone. It's in somebody's backyard. And it's just to feed the growing population of the island in Florida. And nobody saw any signs of any lost colony when they dug it up, of course, because they would have had to stop digging if they'd found anything.
I'm sure they probably didn't look very hard either.
Oh, no, I'm sure they did a complete survey of the area and
they had ground penetrating radar.
No endangered species. The Florida panther doesn't come there, I'm sure. No box turtles, no nothing. It was perfectly safe.
No, it could definitely be a subdivision.
Yeah. So what I want to do is go out there, and we went out shortly after Carrie and I went out there early days, found the marker, and we did the Wikidemus test. And what was funny is it did cause a sudden storm. That day that did pop up on the radio as unexplained storm hits Fernandina Beach. I was like, what? Carrie, we did something. Now, there were people who said there was an underground gas line in that area that might explain the rumbling, might explain the shaking of the ground.
But if there was, they wanted to build a subdivision upon the gas line.
That is the real, I think so. but it's sad that it's all gone now. But that tradition from the 40s and 50s is not there anymore.
They're gonna have to go. All the kids are gonna have to go sneak into some person's backyard.
If they want to do it, I don't know. It's sad because we drove by there and it was all gone. Now there are some other amazing places on Amelia Island. I'm going to go into that after we take a break in a minute. But I do want to say this one more thing about Wickademus. I said his name 3 times now.
Oh,
If you're playing this episode and you live in that subdivision, maybe put this one on loop and see if we can just get that tally up there. But I'm not sure if demonic escape is going to be covered under, would this be under act of God? Because it's not
I think
act of
so.
God, it's an act of demon.
I think it counts. I think under the echelon of God, they'll have.
We need an insurance expert.
Yeah,
right into us. So
info at eerietravels.com. Let us know if this counts.
Please use the website contact page. Either way, we want to know. We need inquiring minds want to know. And for those of you out on Amelia Island, if you go to the high school there, you won't even see the old path because it's now an actual turn in to this subdivision right across from the main parking lot to the high school. And there's now like 3 subdivisions over there now. So that
all you've told me is now there's a haunted subdivision that's haunted by a whole witch and a demon. So
watch Poltergeist. Actually, this would be more along the lines of Poltergeist 2, I would think.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't really fit Poltergeist 1.
Yeah, more Poltergeist 2. And then I put in the book that when somebody did build a house there, that somebody should put a sign up that says, "Whatever you do, don't say Wickademus here." But I think that would just be like poking the bear, though.
Or they should get a dog named Wickademus.
Oh yeah, so
just really lean into it.
Right? So
that's what I would do.
But travelers, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, I'm going to tell you some more about Amelia Island, and I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite characters from history. And that's saying a lot for me.
You have a lot of favorites,
but this guy's got the best name ever. And if you're a fan of Scottish people, you're going to love this. So, and then we're going to talk pirates. We'll get to pirates. I know y'all want to hear pirates, so we'll talk pirates. So hang on. We'll be right back.
Destiny Beard, the lyrical soprano who will haunt your dreams. With her alluring melodies and intricate harmonies, this dark siren of wistful song shall capture your soul and lead you into the night. Check out Destiny's new single, The Haunting Is Over, with international musicians Sam Haines and Gary Bennett, as well as her other musical works at destinybeard.com.
Oh my goodness. Bo, what do you think about the Lost Colony?
I think that they're not giving that demon a lot of credit because they're saying he's a pet, but also still enormous. So who's in charge here? Are they besties and working together? Is the witch in charge? Is the demon in charge? Inquiring minds want to know.
No, right? Exactly. I would love to know more about that myself. So, all right. So we've got on the islands, Fernandina Beach, American Beach, and Amelia City, right? Mm-hmm. It's got tons of ghost stories on the island. It was, like I mentioned before, it's got a deep sea port, even at low tide. So it could have large ships in port at all times. So this is crucial for smugglers and pirates to get their goods up rivers into the lands of the United States, particularly in the early 19th century.
Right.
And it's estimated at one point there were over 400 ships in the waters around this island, and nearly all of them flew the Jolly Roger at one point. It's been like early 1800s. Now, 1817 in the Wayback Machine. I mentioned this guy before break. We're going to talk about my favorite Scotsman of all time, and I have to say his name with an accent because it's the only way it makes sense, right? His name is Gregor MacGregor.
It's better than even you set up.
Exactly, right? Worth the wait. Now, this guy was a mercenary, supposedly. He was also a well-known con man.
Supposedly.
He was married to a cousin of Simon Bolivar, right? The famous revolutionary. And he sails to Amelia Island with a force intent on seizing the land from the Spanish. Spanish controlled it at this point. And now he had already swindled his way into power in South America and had built a small army. And the reason he had done this was he invented a country in South America called Poyas, right? Poyais, right? And he basically was somewhere in Venezuela. He sent all these letters home to Scotland saying, "Come to Poyas. I've founded a country and I've made it beautiful. And this is Gregor McGregor. and I've founded this country and it's fucking great. You got to do this. Come here now." Sorry, there's my Scotch for you. And he's like, and it's beautiful. And it's all this land. You won't have to live under the English anymore. Come down here. And so all these people are fooled to come there. He's printed beautiful pictures of it. He's got his own money. He sends them.
And it's Venezuela.
And it's the jungle of Venezuela. And they all get there and they're basically dying because he's fooled all these people to come. But then he takes all the able-bodied men and says, "I need you for my mercenary group. We've been ordered by the Emperor of Mexico to free this island from the Spanish." And they're all like, and the men, I'm sure, are like, "All right, either dig in jungle and get killed by a fertile ants or a jaguar or die of disease, or I can get on a boat with this guy and maybe get some pirate treasure. I'm all in. Sorry, family." And the families all died off within a generation, right?
So it's basically a long con to get people to come ride on his boat and be pirates with him.
Yes. Yeah. So he's got 80 guys. And so he comes heading out to, I don't know how he did it, but he basically gained some control of some Venezuelan armies, becomes a general in the Republican side of the revolution there. And he's parlaying that into more power, right? So he sends a note to the Spanish on Amelia Island that he's coming with this army and he's going to take over the island and they better flee. He's giving them warning.
I mean, at least he's warning them. He could just show up.
They bug out.
Polite.
They bugged out, right? They're like, "Oh, no, this guy's crazy. I heard he's got 1,000 men. I've heard he's got this. He's got hundreds of ships. This guy's insane. He has his own country." He comes ashore. He's got 80 guys in a boat, right? The Spanish just greatly overestimated him, and they didn't even fire a shot. So he claims this he decides to make his own kingdom because he's not actually doing this for the Emperor of Mexico.
No.
He's not doing this for So he calls it the Free Florida Republic. And he winds up.
He should have just named it after his fake country, and then he could have had a real country.
Exactly. But anyway, he actually winds up owning this island for a little while, and it becomes a pirate headquarters again, right? It's everything they wanted it to be. And he also, the problem is he tried to pay his own men with his own money again.
With his fake money for his fake country.
This time it's made Amelia dollars for Amelia Island, and morale is sinking, right? And he's about to lose control. And he's like, my wife and I are heading back to Europe because we've been ordered there by the Republic of Mexico.
He's sure saying Mexico is doing a lot of stuff.
Apparently, Mexico wants him to be an ambassador back in Europe. So me and my wife are leaving, and he's like, "I'm going to leave you in the hands of the head of the Florida Republic Navy, Louis Eerie." Now, Louis was a former French naval officer who had turned privateer and pirate, and he had made a name for his pirate crew by sacking the undefended town, by sacking a lot of undefended towns. So he was more of a paper tiger too. His rival was John Lafitte, which you might be familiar with.
The name's familiar, but I couldn't tell you why.
John Lafitte. He actually took Aurie's home base in Galveston, Texas, from him while he was away sacking other towns.
Can't leave your home base undefended. Has this
while he was out
man never played a game at all?
Right. Have you not played Risk?
Yeah.
You got to leave that one unit at home. But while he was out and about, he gets word from Gregor McGregor about Amelia Island, and he's like, I'm off, right? I'm going to go hang out with my buddy. So he sails into port, but he doesn't arrive until 2 weeks after McGregor has fled. And so he goes in and starts talking to McGregor's lieutenants who had been left in charge. And he's like, okay, well, we'll run this for the Republic of Mexico because they've been good to me and all this. And so,
but did Mexico have any part of this? Did they have any knowledge of this happening at all?
Not that we can tell.
Because it really just seems like Gregor was like, I'm going to just bring them up. So it looks like
Louis is doing the same thing. Yeah, Louis Eerie is doing the same thing. And now he's there with his son, Luke. And they start ruling the island. They think it's great. And so about so now it's 1817. So we're talking about 5 years since Gregor's been running this place. And by the end of that December, so December 1817, they are this group comes into town. They are from the United States.
Oh, uh-oh.
And they claim the island, and they're going to hold it in trust for Spain. Because remember, we still had to deal with Spain. We weren't going to touch Florida at this point. And the Spanish is like, cool, great. And we're coming back because we heard Gregor McGregor didn't actually have any troops. Now, so they're coming back. And so it finally will be given back to the United States in 1821 when Florida was ceded to the U.S. But because the Spanish didn't want it anymore. It's covered with mosquitoes and full of people shooting arrows at them. They didn't want anything to do with it. But anyway, Eerie, he stays on for a couple months after the U.S. have taken it over.
Right.
And in trust for Spain, supposedly to assist with the surrender. And
he doesn't seem like an assisting kind of guy.
What he actually was doing was still helping the smugglers and pirates keep their business going, right? So he had made a few friends amongst the local populace. So nobody was really wanting to get rid of this guy because the pirates were backing him, right?
And then he would have pirate friends for after he left.
Right.
Who would help him out.
Yeah, so you would be in trouble if you messed with Louis. Now, his son just was a jerk, right? He was using his dad's power, and he would go in and get free drinks from the bar. He'd have free time at the brothels. He would have whatever he wanted from any place. He was basically extorting everybody, saying, my dad, I'll come get you.
My daddy will come here if you're not nice to me.
So now what happened is Louis sees that this ain't going well and says, you know what? I've been called back to Europe too. Gregor McGregor needs me to be his assistant as an ambassador, so I'm sailing back to Europe. Come on, son. But his son is like, I'm going to be a nobody on the boat. I'm going to be a nobody over there. I'm going to stay here, and I'll do like you did. I'm going to just maintain behind the scenes. But without his dad to protect him, how long do you think his reign lasted?
I'm going to give him 3 days.
About a week. Yeah, it was about a week. And they arrested him because he was just numerous crimes. And then he realizes he's being prosecuted for his father's crimes and Gregor McGregor's crimes, right? He's just
he played stupid games.
He's just a tool of vengeance for the town now. He's the face of everybody's anger.
Well, they
And
didn't
so,
like him. They kind of liked his dad a little bit.
a little bit. His dad still kept the wheels going.
Yeah.
Guy's just a jerk. So Ari realizes that I'm done because they're gonna hang me in the morning. And he sees him building the scaffold outside the old jail. So he decides, screw this noise. I'm done. So he cuts his own throat. Now, as he basically just makes a cutting tool from his bedding in the jail, right? And does it worst possible way.
Is
But
he
a
like
guard,
piano wire with like
kinda,
rope?
yeah, like bedding.
He should have just waited for the scaffolding to be
Yep.
done.
Well, a guard sees him bleeding out and calls for the local town doctor. Now, the surgeon saves his life by stitching his throat back together to stop the bleeding. And the town's going to get their hanging, right? So
Well,
they
everyone made plans to come for hanging. You can't
exactly.
not
You
have
can't
one.
just not have it, you know. And so what do
Someone
they
has
do?
to hang.
What do they do? They sew up his shirt around his neck so nobody can see what he's done. They drag him down and they buttoned it up over the stitches and everything. They drag him down to the tree outside the sail where they built this ball scaffolding. And he has no last words. I can't imagine why. And guess what happens when the rope tightens?
Something wild is going to happen, I feel like.
Well, if you've got a weakened neck that's been cut,
Oh, detached.
pop goes the weasel. The stitches ripped and the head basically almost comes off.
To be fair, if you're going to attend a hanging,
Yeah.
that sounds like the most interesting outcome that you can
Now,
talk
we
about
are
for weeks.
talking Florida man, early days, the same state that gives us the comedian Gallagher with the Sledge-O-Matic numerous years later. So I'm assuming if you were in the splash zone, you kind of got that wonderful spray there, right?
I'm just imagining them in ponchos, like
Yeah,
they're at SeaWorld.
So the old jail is still there, and you can go visit. It is the home of the Amelia Island Historical Society. It houses the Amelia Island History Museum, and it has an extensive collection of artifacts throughout Amelia Island's history, including numerous pirate artifacts. And Luke Ory's spirit is supposedly there, and he's basically nearly headless Nick, where he's just kind of hanging from a bit of flesh, right? And now there are many volunteers talk about having to clean this mysterious blood stain that appears at the jail cell there over and over and over again, no matter what. Now, Carrie did a drawing of that for Creepy Florida, and I'm sure we'll put that in the show notes. So,
Well, it doesn't sound like this man, Luke, is being very like nice even in death. Like he's making a mess.
yep,
Made a mess in life, and now he's making a mess in
just
death.
a jerk, just a jerk.
He's an asshole. How are we supposed to feel bad for him?
Right now, there are, like I said, there are tons more ghost stories here. I'm going to do one more because we're on pirates, so I got to talk about this one real quick. So, the northern point on the island is Bosque Bello Cemetery. It is one of my favorite cemeteries on the planet. It's probably one of the most striking cemeteries in Florida. The Spanish Bosque Bello, beautiful woods, right? Or they were not wrong in naming this place. Old trees, gravestones. There's tons of ghost stories about this place. Now, the most famous ghost here is a voodoo queen's spirit. I love my voodoo queens, right? Give me a Marie Laveau or Blackwater Hattie or, Minnie Lightning, all of them. But the one here, all right, so her name is Mama Martina.
Ooh.
Right? Now, during the pirate days, one particularly infamous pirate comes by into port. His name, you might know him as Edward Teach, also known as Blackbeard. Yes, Blackbeard came to Amelia Island. Now his men come ashore and spend many days spending some of their spoils, enjoying the comforts of the pirate haven, right? One of Blackbeard's lieutenants spent a lot of time between these two places. One place called Wicked Davies, which is a bar, and the White House brothel. Nothing to do with the White House. It was just a white house. Now he had fallen in love with one of the girls there.
As you
One of
do.
the girls told him that Mama Martina could help him take out Blackbeard and he could take his place as the pirate captain.
Uh-oh.
And he'd be the new pirate king. So he's all like, all right, let's meet Madame Martina. And Madame Martina, or Mama Martina, says she could summon a Loa spirit, which is one of the hoodoo gods that would protect him from Blackbeard's sword. So for a few gold coins,
But just his sword, right?
just his sword from a duel, gold coins, some blood offerings, he would be invulnerable to iron, completely invulnerable to iron. So he paid him full and got his ritual done. And he immediately walks off to Blackbeard's ship and challenges him to command of the pirate fleet. And as soon as he announced his challenge, Blackbeard just basically stabs him right through the chest. It didn't kill him. It worked. So the young man smiles and draws his own blade. And then Blackbeard pulls out his pistol and shoots him in the face.
But it doesn't seem like it did work because he was not.
He was invulnerable to iron.
It went into him still.
He was invulnerable to it. Didn't kill him. He survived the sword, but the gunshot was lead. So
different.
So now what happens is Blackbeard finds out, why did this punk suddenly challenge me? Oh, he thought, yeah. And then why did he not die from the sword? Oh, he had the power of a voodoo queen helping him. Well, screw that noise. We're going to go find this voodoo queen. So he sends his men into Boscobello to find her. And they just get lost in the twists and turns of the scenery. They just keep coming back out at the entrance going, wait, we took 5 different turns. And Blackbeard's just like, screw this island. We're never coming back. We're going up to North Carolina. Screw this. We're out. So
I thought they were going to fall in love. I thought him and Mama Martina are going to fall in love.
No. He's still got to meet Stede Bonnet and all that.
Yeah.
So
we do love them.
We do love Our Flag Means Death. But I ship that. But anyway, Mama Martina's name is not commonly used. There are she's just known as the voodoo queen of the island, right? There are many unmarked graves in Boscobello. One of them might be hers, but we don't know. But a lot of people go to the cemetery to seek guidance from Mama Martina. So now,
is she still seen in the cemetery?
She is not. But people say that her spirit is there, and if you need voodoo protection, she's the one you go to. Interesting stuff. Now, Wicked Davies was that notorious saloon. It had several murders, but it's long since been closed. But the building is still there, and has had numerous tenants on the first floor that have come and gone. And many people claim to hear noises in there and all that. It's a big paranormal haunt and all that. Now, the saloon is probably one of those cool history things where it's the oldest continuously operated drinking establishment in Florida.
Wow.
Making it one of the oldest in the United States. It's the Palace Saloon. And now it is haunted by a character named Uncle Charlie, who was a bartender from the 1900s. And he rented a room upstairs, and he died somewhere in the 1960s. And he had this brilliant game because they had one of those wooden maidens from a boat, the front of a boat.
Yeah.
I can't remember the technical term for that right now.
I don't know, hot mermaid or something.
Yeah, something like that. Well, there was one with some bountiful cleavage from a boat that had been rescued, and it was over the bar, right? And Charlie, Uncle Charlie, he had this game as a bartender. He's like, hey, if you can bounce a quarter into her cleavage, I'll give you a free drink. And at the end of the night, he would sweep up all of the quarters from all the failed attempts and make way more than any free drinks he had to give out. It was basically undocumented tax, tips,
Yeah.
right? That's fantastic. What a scheme, right? And now what's happened is everybody says, some of the bartenders there have said that anytime somebody drops change, it disappears like instantly. And
He's
it's
like, oh, thanks.
It's Charlie picking it up, right? So good stuff, right? And there's an old player piano over there, and it sometimes plays even though it's no longer hooked up.
Oh.
So it's Amelia Island does not get nearly enough love, right? So
it sounds really cool.
Yeah. One more haunted house I'll give as a free bonus trip here. It's called the Epes House, Eppes, Epes House. And it's a historic home. It's not private residence. So really you can just walk by it. And it once housed Charlotte Epes, who supposedly convinced her husband to kill a realtor in town who had made advances on her. And the story was false. Right. So she has been forced to haunt that house forever as payment for her crime. That's supposedly the story that goes there. So when you walk by there, you can do that. Wikidemus, long gone, sadly. By 2020, it had opened and was now a housing development. It's been there for a few years. No rumors of any demons bursting forth of any backyards and all that. But
well, they wouldn't want to tell us because they want to keep the resale value of their houses.
Yep, exactly.
They're not going to say, hey, there's a demon that lives in the backyard and yells at us. They're not going to tell us that.
But Fort Marion, there is a reconstructed Fort Marion, even though that we don't know where it really was and all that there. The legend of that is tied more into Matanzas Bay. That's where a bunch of French were massacred by the Spanish, so much so that it used to be Dolphin Bay or Porpoise Bay, and it's now Matanzas, which means massacre. So that'll tell you how bad it was. And that's a little ways to the south. And then you can always go down to St. Augustine if you want, but visit Amelia Island. It is so worth your time. If you're going between St. Augustine and up to Savannah, stop there. Have a great time. Get some good ghost tours in. Tell them Eerie Travels sent you. Come on. It
does sound like a good marriage between the two, since you said it has kind of both ecosystems in it.
Exactly.
Well, so it's kind of like a good halfway point.
Exactly. Good halfway stop right there, and a lot of fun. And with that, travelers, I'm going to wrap it up. Did you enjoy your trip, Bo?
I did. Now I really want to go visit.
I mean, you're not too far from there, so it's worth a day trip for you. So, well, we need our friends down in Florida to go visit that more. So,
yeah.
Let's make it a little more famous, gang. Go out, say hi to Charlie at the Palace Saloon. Go look for Mama Martina and Bosque Bello. Maybe get lucky and catch the glimpse of Blackbeard chasing her down or something like that. But or go to the old jail and say hi to nearly headless Luke. And
poor Luke.
And just remember that Gregor McGregor lived a good, happy, long life and never had to pay for any of his crimes. So the bad guys always win. No.
I mean, accurate though. It sounds
accurate, sadly accurate. It's definitely look at the Gregor McGregor. I'm still surprised nobody's made a movie about that guy, because it's amazing.
No one would believe it because he's doing the wildest things.
It's so
I would be
wild.
like, this can't be true.
And it's so hard to say his name without slipping into a Scottish accent, right?
Gregor McGregor.
Gregor McGregor. Clan McGregor. There can be only one. I got my own money here. It's got my face on it, so you know it's legal. But anyway, gang, enjoy your travels. Thank you so much for putting up with us. Thank you, patrons, for putting a couple bucks our way and helping keep this on the road and helping us go on more travels. We've got information about the book coming very soon, the first book. So please keep your eyes open on our website, eerietravels.com. If you have listener tales or listener stories, drop them there, or you can email info@eerietravels.com or contact us on the socials. I know we get a lot of them that way, or jump into our Discord, Eerie Travels.
Yeah,
we'd love to
come
have you
chat
there.
with us.
Yeah, come chat, come have fun. We share stuff. I put breaking news there sometimes. No, we don't have any breaking news for this, but we did play the music. Anyway, and with that, I'm just going to say, when you're traveling and you're going into Northeast Florida and you head out to Ameilia Island and you get out on that long bridge and head over to the island, just remember at one point, there were more pirates here than there were in the Caribbean, and that you might get lucky and find a ghost, or you might get unlucky and find a demon. And if you do, we'll see you on the other side.